could it be? With me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up and take command. I, of course, am your Commander-in-Chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. So, preseason 2, game number 2, rather, is in the books, and we've had a chance to decompress. For some of you, it was a very, very tense, last 24 to 48 hours over a preseason game. I will never understand how much emotion that was put into that preseason effort by some of you. I'm taken aback. I was really shocked at how so many of you felt after the second preseason game. You would have thought it was an abomination. You would have thought it was the worst thing you've ever seen, and you would have thought it counted for something. It's a preseason game. Now, I can't tell you how to feel and what you should take from a preseason game. Everyone looks at a preseason game and takes something from it different. For instance, some might have watched this game and say, hey, the offense wasn't bad, a couple of mistakes here and there, and it stopped them from putting some points up, but they moved the football rather easily at that. And we'll talk about that here today. And so they feel good about that. No one would have watched that game and come away saying anything other than the third down defense is atrocious and it must be fixed or else this team is doomed. That is something that I think universally across the board, if you're a Washington Commanders fan, that's the biggest takeaway is the third down defense has been a problem, was a problem last week, was a problem on Saturday. It continues to be a problem. And until it's cleaned up, this team cannot take that step forward that they're looking to take. Agreed. Okay, there's no argument there. But the overreaction to a preseason game was the thing that caught me off guard. I didn't expect that fans that just a month ago sat here and talked about sipping. I've been telling you to sip slow, by the way. But fans that I've told to sip slow that we're talking about guzzling are now completely putting the cup down and deciding that not only is it not worth sipping, but I don't even need to have a cup in hand. This season is doomed and we're going to suck again. That's hard for me to fathom after 2 preseason games. Not a regular season game, but 2 preseason games. One in particular. That is just mind-blowing. It's mind-boggling, and I struggle with that kind of waffling. I do. I've told you guys this before. There's a lot of things that I am accustomed to dealing with as a fan of this team, and one of them is tremendous amounts of negativity. We've been preconditioned to expect the worst and hope for the best. But you're always waiting for doom and gloom that's waiting for you around the corner when you're a Washington Commanders fan. So I get that. So I get when we start 0-2 and we're talking about code red in week 3 and we got to have it. Or we start 0-1 and week 2 is a game on a Thursday night against the Giants. And we're saying if we don't win this game and we got Buffalo next week on the road, our season is over. I get it. I get when you start off the season 1-5 and you seem hopeless and you lose to the Giants and Daniel Jones again. And now you're 2-6 after feeling like you built some momentum and you deciding that now we're a top 5 pick team because we can't beat the Giants. They've swept us. I get it. I get it last year about how upset some of you were when we lost that first Cowboys game. Hell, I was upset about the performance. I get how upset some of you were when we laid a stinking, fat, nasty 56-14 egg on Sunday Night Football on national television. Instead of fighting the Cowboys, we were fighting our damn selves. I understand where the negativity comes from. Obviously, the biggest black cloud that hovers over this organization is Daniel Snyder, and until he's gone, the likelihood is we won't be a sustained winner. That's the thought process, unless there is a franchise quarterback that transcends the dysfunction that starts at the very top, comes along here, there's likely not going to be a 13 winner here, the very next year, 12, the year after that, 12 again, and then 11. There probably won't be sustained success in that regard. But how many of you were so emotionally charged after a preseason game in August? Blew my mind. And I've seen a lot of things. I've been doing this for over a decade now. I've seen almost everything. I don't know if I've ever seen that kind of behavior from a fan base that I truly love. But I also know in the same breath can be very, very finicky. I already know. When your parents hit you all the time when you're a kid, guess what you do when they raise their hand? Even if it's not to hit you, they could raise their hand to scratch their head, but you're jumping. You know why you're jumping? You know why you're afraid? Because you're accustomed to being hit. So any movement that doesn't look natural to you, you're going to protect yourself. That's what Washington fans do. That's why they're protecting themselves right now, because they were excited about the upcoming season, and you should still be. You should still be excited about the upcoming season. But a lot of you are protecting yourselves. You're going into full-blown protection mode. Self-preservation in the second week of the preseason. That is disgusting. It is a sign of where we are as a fan base, and I get it, but I don't get that, okay? And all I've read was negativity. Everywhere, I've heard it everywhere, and I get it. The third down defense is a mess. It's a mess. And I had a chance to go back, watch the all-22s, assess, and I've got a list of things that I want to talk about today. And you can feel how you want to feel, but here are the cold, hard facts. You take them how you want, okay? I'm just going to give you food for thought, and you, my friends, can do the dishes, okay? So let's jump into a number of topics today, and then we'll get to your comments at the end. I want to talk about Ron's post-game presser because, you know, obviously I'm live when he's talking to the media and addressing the media after the game. So I never get a chance to listen to it. I always listen to it after the fact. So I had a chance to digest that. Wasn't really much said there that I didn't already kind of know what he was going to say, because we've seen enough Ron. We've heard from Ron enough to know how he's going to react to certain things. But I still wanted to check out what he said. And so I'll give you some of the takeaways that I have from what he said. Then we're going to dive into upon further review, which is my way of getting into the film, looking at it, and again, having a chance to let it marinate a bit, digest the game, then lay, film watching eyes on the game, and then come back and report my findings. So we'll get into that from both the offensive and defensive sides of the football. And then today we had practice. The beauty of practice now moving forward is it's less about the actual content of practice, less about training camp and the grind of camp. Now it's more about, all right, let's get these guys back healthy. Let's prepare for week one. No one gives a shit about the third preseason game. At least I don't. I can't speak for you after the way some of y'all have been acting after the second preseason game. Hell, if we don't beat the Ravens and they make it 23 straight against us, we might not win a game this season, according to some of you. So they're preparing for Jacksonville. They're not preparing for Baltimore this upcoming Saturday, okay? You won't see the starters more likely than not. I know there's still a little bit up in the air as to what Ron's going to do. Ultimately, Ron's going to err on the side of caution. And that means the vast majority of the guys that you've come to know and love and that you want to see, you're not going to see in the third preseason game. So I just want to talk about what was said after practice. I'll give you the guys that were at practice, what's the status on some of the guys we're waiting to come back. We'll talk about some of that stuff. We'll get to the guys that spoke after practice, and then we'll get to your comments. So with that said, Ron's post-game presser, I thought he was typical Ron, a little ornery after some of the mistakes that were made. Big emphasis was put on the pass rush discipline and really the pass rush lane integrity. We've talked about that ad nauseum. That was a big point of contention last year, especially when it was Sweat and Young not staying in their rush lanes. And, one of the things that got better when those guys weren't in the lineup was rush lane integrity, but that didn't make the defense better. A lot of you took that and ran with it. Oh, this defense is better. No, it's not better. And we'll talk more about that here in a second. As a matter of fact, something is glaring on this defense right now. There is a missing piece, and we will talk about that a little bit later on. But this was one of those situations. There was one play in particular where Ron really went off on for about a good minute and a half of what was only a 5-minute presser. And it was really on the pass rush integrity on the second Mahomes touchdown to Jordy Fortson. And it was essentially what we saw a lot of last year. The edge rusher on the side where the quarterback ends up rolling out to, gets too far up the field. Quarterback ducks underneath a guy that's looping up the field because that tackle has pushed him all the way around the pocket. So you just escape with the hole that he just created for you. And you get outside, you extend, and then you find someone. Aaron Rodgers did it to us when Chase Young got too far up the field. Josh Allen did it to us when I want to say it was either Chase Young or Montez Sweat. One or the other of those two ends got too far up the field. He just ducked out, found the tight end touchdown. Aaron Rodgers did it when he threw it back across his body to Devontae Adams on the 4th down. He ended up getting in the end zone for a touchdown. And Patrick Mahomes did it to us. And it was this time that the culprit was Casey Toohill. Got way too far up the field. Tackle pushed him all the way around, washed him out of the pocket. Mahomes stepped up and then vacated out to his left and found Jordy Fortson for the second touchdown. And it was actually tremendous coverage. You just got to stay plastered to your guy. And Cam Curl, I don't want to say he fell asleep behind the wheel on that particular play because he did a tremendous job of staying close, but you got to stay connected. There's one thing to be close in those, off-schedule situations, and then it's another thing to stay connected, or as they like to say, plaster. You need to plaster to your receiver. He was close, but he wasn't connected. He should have been grabbing that guy. He should have been right on him. He was just running behind him, and right at the last second, Mahomes zung it right in there, right? And even though he was right there, it just got in there faster than he could react. And if he was plastered, if he had stayed connected, if he was grabbing and tugging him a little bit, because he was close enough to grab his jersey to make sure he didn't get too far away from him, he'd have been right there to either pick it off or knock it away, or Mahomes wouldn't even attempted that throw. But because there was just enough separation there, Mahomes felt like he could get it in there, and he did. So, Ron went in on that particular snap and talked about, rush lane integrity and guys having to, stay in their rush lanes, essentially. And felt bad for Montez Sweat because on that particular play, he was busting his ass and he got little to no help. You watch Jonathan Allen on that play, and he's literally just taking up space. He is not hustling. He is not moving. He's not trying. It was literally either Montez Sweat's going to get him or nobody's going to get him. Gibson playing well in space. He talked about that, wanting to get him more involved. We see what the role has evolved into now and what it more likely is going to be. He's still going to touch it a ton. He still played more snaps in this game than that of Brian Robinson. Now, maybe that was because Robinson wasn't really in with the second team and Gibson was. There may be a little bit of validity to that, but Robinson got a carry or two and was in with the second team when Heineke was out there, but it was mostly Gibson's show then. But they're going to find ways to get him on the field, and they're going to try to give him the football out in space. And we saw how, effective he could be with the football in space. And he talked about the kickoff return unit needing to block better, because now you got a dynamic guy back there that can break this thing. You got to get him some space and allow him to operate. So he talked about that. The first thing he had to talk about, he couldn't avoid this, and you knew this was going to be a huge topic of discussion at the podium after that game, was the third down defense. And he said the third down defense is about being a team defense. It's not about one guy making a play, even though one guy sometimes is the difference between making a play and not making a play on third down. I talked about that after the game on Saturday, with Cam Curl in particular being the culprit on 3 different occasions on third downs in which Patrick Mahomes and company went 5 of 5. 3 of those can be charged to the Cam Curl account. So sometimes it is one guy, but it is a team defense. Every single snap defensively is about the team, but especially on third down, and the rush has to be there. The back end has to cover. Last week, I put a lot of the blame on the back end. They didn't do their job adequately enough. And the rush was absolutely phenomenal against the Panthers a week ago. This week, the rush wasn't there. It wasn't as crisp. It wasn't as effective and disruptive as it was last week. And, some of that can be attributed to Patrick Mahomes. And we'll talk about that in a second, because the amount of people, puffing out their chest and saying, hey, I know it's Patrick Mahomes, but there's no but, okay? If you want to be great, you have to. No. We're not great. That's the thing, okay? We were a 7-10 team last season. We had the 31st ranked third down defense in the league. We're far from great, okay? No one's looking at the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and saying, we should be shutting them down. What makes you think we're capable of doing that on a consistent basis? Especially without game planning to stop Patrick Mahomes in that offense. Let's not fool ourselves into thinking we're something that we're not. Don't listen to Doc Walker and have Doc thinking that this team is ready to compete at a high level. And Doc kept telling you over and over again, hey, this 15, you don't get pressure on him, it's like sipping cyanide, okay? It's a slow death, but you're going to die, okay? Don't let guys like Doc Walker, and I love him, psych you up into thinking that every single game, no matter who the opponent is, we're supposed to dominate. That is not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Not when your defense is a work in progress. You're not going to dominate Patrick Mahomes with a defense that's still trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Get a grip, some of you. I don't care if it was Patrick. You should care that it's Patrick Mahomes. I'd feel a lot differently if that's Davis Mills carving our goddamn defense up, doing the shit that Patrick Mahomes did. Yeah, I'd feel a lot differently if that's Justin Fields doing that to us. I feel some type of way if that's Ryan Tannehill digging in our ass, or Marcus Mariota getting after us like that on third downs. You damn right I'm pissed off. Am I upset Patrick Mahomes is giving it to us? Yeah, I am. But you know what I'm also saying? That's Patrick Mahomes. Some of y'all just want to, well, I don't care who. You should care who it is. Does make a damn difference. A big one. Anyway, I'm just, the defense has to be better. And I thought the secondary was much better in this game. And unfortunately, the rush did not join the party. They were really never involved. Mahomes had way too much time to extend. It's hard enough in this league to cover for 3 seconds. Try covering for 5 seconds against one of the best in the game. Come on, man. Who are we fooling here? Like, who do you think you're going to stop when the quarterback has 5 seconds, 6 seconds to throw the football? You want these guys to cover for how long? You must have lost your damn mind. So, I mean, I really thought the secondary gave it a human-like effort. There were some times where you were really frustrated with the end result. But let's keep it a buck. The end result happened because there wasn't enough pressure on the quarterback. These guys did their job well enough. And I'll give you some examples when we get into the specifics of what I saw watching the film back. Ron talked about the offense. He said they moved the ball well, which they did. And I talked about that on the post-game show. Says we got to get points. I said the same thing. It's great to do the whole 20-20 thing, which we did it more like 20-40. But you got to find a way to get something out of it. Even if it's a field goal, you got to find a way to get something out of these drives. You can't stall out around midfield or at the Chiefs' 40-yard line and still feel good about what you just did, especially after you punt and they're ending up with a touchback. And so you've netted, 17 yards on the punt. That's trash. There's no silver lining there. He talked about can't have 3rd and 5 from the 31 and end up punting in that situation. I couldn't agree with him more. That was one of the worst sequences of the game, is you get into 3rd and 5 at the Chiefs' 31-yard line, and in your mind, you're saying, hey, we're coming away with a field goal here. Even if you take an 8-yard sack in that situation, which is what Wentz ultimately did, he took a 6-yard sack, I believe, you're still in field goal range without the false start, right? If that's a sack back to the 37, that's a 55-yard field goal or so. I'm sending Joey Sly out there for that. That's the kind of work you want your kicker to get. I would prefer to be putting it in the end zone and having him kick a 33-yard extra point instead. But if 55-yard field goal attempt comes up, I want to see if Joey Slye can bang that thing home. So I'm sending him out there for that. Well, you know what I'm not sending him out there for? A 60-yard field goal, which is what it would have been had we decided to try them out there after this Wentz sack coupled with the 5-yard false start penalty by Sam Cosmi. That was a grotesque sequence there that destroyed what was a promising drive that at least you feel a little bit better if the offense leaves the game on a note where they scored 3 points. It's a scoring drive, not what you would have hoped, like last week against Carolina when their final drive of the game was a touchdown, left you with a better taste in your mouth. At least you come away with the field goal. You say, you know what? 3 drives, only got 3 points. Move the ball up and down. At least we got something to show for it. 3 points. Not a lot, not as much as you would like, but we got something. We got nothing to show for it. Left a bitter taste in a lot of our mouths after watching that sequence go down the way that it did. That said, Ron was very adamant that you can't have those kinds of mistakes. That'll get you beat against teams that are better than you in a team like Kansas City. Facts, big facts. So now let's get into upon further review. So obviously, as many of you probably have, I went back, watched the game again, watched the all 22s from multiple angles, end zone angle, sideline angle. Needed to really see what the hell was going on with the offensive line and how some of these guys did. And I wanted to see what the guys on the back end were doing. And, how did Benjamin St-Juste look on opportunities and snaps where the ball didn't come his way? Was he in good position to make plays? I wanted to see all of those things. What were we doing on the back end of some of these plays? When there was an incompletion, did Mahomes miss something? I needed to see all of that stuff. So let's dive in upon further review, and we'll start with the offensive side of the football. We'll save the best for last, obviously. Offensively, I was so impressed with our first down offense. Really, first and second downs were very successful, but it was really first down offense that was tremendous in this game. I mean, it really was. The Achilles heel for this team in this game was third downs. We'll get to that in a second. But that was the real problem was the third downs. The first and second down execution was, listen to this, okay? These are all first down gains, okay? Listen to this. And remember, only 3 possessions of work for the first team offense. These are all gains on first down with the 3 possessions that we had with the first team offense. You had a 9-yard Brian Robinson run on a first down. You had a 5-yard catch by Curtis Samuel on a first down. You had an 18-yard dig route to Terry on a first down. You had a 5-yard run by Brian Robinson on a first down. You had a 9-yard run on a first down by Brian Robinson. You had a 15-yard catch and run by Amani Rodgers on a first down. You had a 9-yard catch by Terry on a first down. You had a 5-yard catch by Curtis Samuel on a first down. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 plays of 5 yards or more on first down. Do you know how exceptional that is? I mean, we were getting chunks on first down, whether it was on the ground, as I just mentioned, through the air. We were getting whatever we wanted on first down, which is why us not coming away with points was so frustrating. Why didn't we come away with points? Because our third down conversion rate was awful. That's why. Every single third down that we saw, and there were only 3, which is why we were 0 of 3, is every drive ended with us not getting it done on third down and forcing us to punt. I actually thought Ron could have gone for it. On the second third down that we didn't convert, left us in like a 3rd and 5, right around midfield. Thought he could have just went. It's preseason. I get it. It's Mahomes. You want to see what this defense is going to do. Pin Mahomes back deep and see if the defense can't come out and get a stop. I get it. To hell with that shit. 4th down. Let's see what the offense can do. And put them out there. And let's see if they can't pick up this first down. And maybe in the regular season, he might go for it there. Probably not. In the regular season, I wouldn't. In the preseason, when you've got nothing to lose, who gives a shit? Go for it. What are we punting for? Okay? Trustway's fine. All right? I don't give a shit if the defense, you want to see if they can get a 3 and out and maybe get us back great field position. That'd be awesome. But guess what? I'm more concerned with getting this offense into a rhythm. I don't need to see Mahomes go 90 yards for a touchdown. He can go 50. That same touchdown drive, cut that shit in half. So be it. I want to see if we can convert this 4th and 5 and keep the drive alive. Thought he could have went for it, but he didn't. But that's nor here nor there. We had a 2nd down, 12-yard pass to Jahan Dotson. And then we had, let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 2nd and 1 runs that converted into first downs. So 2nd down was a solid down for us. It also hurt us at times. After each of these 5-yard completions, 1 to Curtis Samuel, 1 to Brian Robinson, and 1 to Curtis Samuel again, we had negative or no gain runs, which set us up in 3rd and 6, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. Those were the 3 third downs that we failed to convert. And of those third downs, we had a negative Gibson run for -1. We had a Brian Robinson run for no gain. And we had an incompletion by Carson Wentz on a pass that he just can't afford to miss to Antonio Gibson. Wide ass open on a speed cut. I need to hit it. First down, keep the chains moving. Steady, it was incomplete. So 2nd down, while it was productive, a couple of 2nd and 1 runs that netted us a first down, a 12-yard Jahan Dotson screen catch and run. While it was a productive down, it wasn't as productive as it could have been. Not with the first down efficiency that we had. We should have been continuing to have success on 2nd down. So the -1 on the Gibson run, which set up a 3rd and 6 that we didn't convert. The no gain on a Brian Robinson run that set up 3rd and 5, and then you get the false start by Sam Cosmi, and then the sack that pushed us out of field goal. And in the 2nd and 5, incompletion by Wentz on a wide open Antonio Gibson on a 7-yard speed cut. Those hurt because we didn't convert on the following down to keep the drive alive. Not after having that kind of success on first down. We were outstanding on first down. If we do that in the regular season, I can't fathom us not being one of the most proficient offenses in football. That's exceptional. And you're not going to do that. They didn't have Chris Jones. Keep that in mind. Their best defensive player. I don't care. That's what you're supposed to do when he's not in the lineup. Now you got to finish the drive. That's what we failed to do. 0 of 3 on third downs. So our third down defense was atrocious. Our third down offense was equally as bad. Okay? Which I'm okay with in the preseason. Because in the regular season, you may not go for the jugular. We've gone for the jugular now 2 weeks in a row on the opening possession on a rail route, a wheel route up the sideline on a 3rd and 3. During the regular season, you might just take the 3-yard gain and move the sticks. You may not try to go for the jugular that early in the game. Okay? As you get into an offensive rhythm and you start to see matchups you may be able to take advantage of, maybe you then push the envelope on a 3rd and 3 and go for a 30-yard pass instead of a 4-yard pass to move the sticks. Maybe if J.D. McKissic's healthy, he's coming out of the backfield and you get it to him on a 3rd and 3 instead of trying to throw it to Curtis Samuel on a pick play. They tried to run a pick play, and it was ineffective. Great job by L'Jarius Sneed and the Chiefs defense of just playing the hell out of that route. So we got to be better on third downs, not just on defense, on offense too. On offense as well. Our wide receivers are in midseason form. Okay, this is why I'm so confident about this offense. Couple Wentz with the weapons that we have. We finally got a taste of what Jahan Dotson can be. Okay, saw him with the ball in his hands in space. That looked lovely. Okay, on the 12-yard screen for the first down. Saw him again on a shallow cross right before the half. Heineke got it to him, and he was able to get 11 and get out of bounds, stop the clock, get the first down. He's going to be a problem. I love what I see there. So you count him in. Terry looks good. He had a wide receiver screen he caught for 9, had the dig route for 18. He looks to be in midseason form as well. So I feel good about Terry. Curtis Samuel, he did have the third down. That wasn't a drop. That was a great play by the defender, okay? You got to give credit where credit is due. Nick Bolton, the linebacker, was sitting right there in coverage, read it quickly. So you broke on it, got his hands in there before Curtis could even bring that ball back to his body. That was a great play. It was incomplete. You'd like to see Curtis catch that. It's a tough play. You know, it was bang, bang. The linebacker was there. Got to give him credit. But Curtis continues to be a guy that I think is going to be huge for this offense. We saw what he could do last week, had a nice catch and run for a first down. I like Curtis. I think he's going to be huge for this offense. And then I think Dyami Brown has shown us some things. You know, he made some tough catches, made a tough catch last week, took a shot. Taylor Heineke got him lit up, you know, but came back in the game, came back and made a catch in traffic. Did it again this week, had another catch in traffic. And you'd feel a lot better about Dyami Brown if Sam Howell put that ball out there and let him run and go get it and score a touchdown, because he had his defender beat. It was a great release off the line of scrimmage, stacks him, gets on top of him, and now he's got the leverage. Ball thrown out there, another yard. That defender can't get his hand on it, and that's a catch. Maybe he scores, okay? Maybe that defender dives at his ankles and gets him down at the 2-yard line, but either way, you would feel so much different about Dyami Brown today if that's a touchdown or that's a catch down to the 2-yard line. That's not on him. He did everything he needed to do on that play to win. Beat the corner, beat the safety, and the ball, unfortunately, wasn't put out there far enough. I like where he is in his development this year. And then Cam Sims takes a shot. Heineke for the second week in a row, getting somebody lit up, okay? And then Sims, 2 plays later, comes back, climbs the ladder in the end zone, snatches the shit out of the air, gets his feet down in bounds, touchdown. I think all of our receivers right now, and you can even sprinkle in Dax Milne if you like. I think all our receivers are in midseason form. There's going to be more time. They've got 3 weeks now to just hone in on their craft, continue to build chemistry with one another in terms of Carson Wentz and all of them. And then you're going to work Logan Thomas into the mix now. We'll talk about him here in a bit. Work him and Cole Turner and these guys that are getting healthy and John Bates back into the mix. And all of a sudden, it's going to be hard as hell to stop this offense. The receivers look good in this game, is what I'm telling you. The receivers look good last week. You stack those 2 weeks on top of each other, it's going to be tough for teams to stop this offense with the way these receivers can get open and make plays. Ball after, run after catch, things of that nature. You add some size into this group now when you get these tight ends back, and it's going to be trouble. I really firmly believe that. I said this after the post-game show. After watching the film, I'm going to reiterate this again. Brian Robinson is best suited to be this team's lead back, okay? Brian Robinson is best suited to be this team's lead back because, as I mentioned, with all of the first down success, he's just a guy that keeps your offense on schedule. There won't be many lost yardage situations. There won't be a loss of one. Like Gibby had a run, and he didn't have a chance. Nick Bolton was in that hole from the word go, and, he never stood a chance, did Gibson, on that particular run. All right. But I don't know. Maybe Brian Robinson says, you know what? I'm just going to stick my foot in the ground, lower my shoulder, and get 2 here. Maybe he does that instead of trying to stretch it, press, get outside, knowing that there's no win here. All right. The end game of you going outside and pressing this hole all the way to its limit is that you're going to probably lose a yard or 2. Maybe Robinson sticks his foot in the ground, gets upfield, and gets 2, 1 or 2 instead of a loss of 1, whatever the case may be. He keeps the offense on schedule. You're not going to have many lost yardage situations with Brian Robinson. He's too physical of a runner, too many yards after contact. Rarely does the first guy that makes contact get him down at that spot. He's always falling forward. There's too many positives with this guy in the lineup right now. Obviously, ball security being the primary goal there, but there's just too many positives with Brian Robinson to keep him out of the lineup as your primary ball toter, early in games and, maybe even late when you're trying to salt some things away. Gibson's going to get his fair share of touches, and I'm about to talk about him here in a second. But Brian Robinson, to me, looks like the guy that puts this offense in the best positions to convert 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 4. With his runs on first down. This guy's getting, in this particular game against the Chiefs, he's getting 9 a pop on first down. I talked about a couple of 9-yard runs, a couple of 5-yard runs on first down as well. He was outstanding. Again, the average may not say it, 8 carries, 31 yards, whatever it was, slightly under 4 yards a pop. But if you watch the game, you saw explosiveness again, physicality, finish runs. there's a lot to like here. And then there are a lot of those. The reason his average wasn't as high is because I talked about those 9-yard gains on first down. Well, on second down, you're just looking to get that 1 yard and move the sticks. And that's all he was trying to get. Lower the shoulder, get the 1 yard, be physical, and keep it pushing. So, and he did that. We converted those 2nd and 1s every single time with him with the ball. And some of those, initial surge, there was nothing there. And he kept turning those legs, put his shoulder down, put his head down, and made sure he got the yard. So that's why the average wasn't as gaudy, but the numbers say otherwise. 9 yard here, 9 yard there, 5 yard here, 5 yard there. That speaks volumes. Okay. So Gibby is fantastic in the weapon role that we have him in right now. Kick returner, wide receiver, running back out of the backfield as a receiver. Someone said this, and I think it's the perfect analogy to what he's going to be for us, and that's the Cordero Patterson role. Hopefully a dynamic kickoff return guy that you can hand it to, and he can make yards on the ground, get him out in space, and he can hurt you there. And if you fall asleep behind the wheel, he can make a big play in the pass game as a receiver. You saw the Texas route or the arrow route he ran over the middle of the football field. Heineke got it to him. He makes a defender miss, gets up the field, lowers the shoulder, gets a couple of yards after contact. That's Antonio Gibson out in space. He's a load to deal with. He's athletically gifted. He's fast. He can bring so much more to this offense as a weapon than just being utilized in a monotone way as just a ball carrier. So I think this may ultimately work in our favor, because this is what we thought about him when we drafted him. As fans, this is what we thought he was going to be. Like this all-purpose dynamo, this guy that you line up everywhere, and he's just so hard to cover. And I love the fact now that he's a running back. He's classified as a running back because, again, defenses are dumb, okay? Coordinators are stupid, and they're going to put a linebacker on him. I'd salivate. If I'm Carson Wentz and I look out to my right and I see Gibson spread out all the way towards the sideline, and I see a linebacker out there and he's running a slant, I'm throwing Antonio Gibson the ball on this slant. If I see Gibson in the slot, I motion him from the backfield to the slot, and a linebacker goes with him, I'm throwing him this corner route. I'm throwing him this rail route, or I'm throwing him this dig or whatever he's running. This quick out. I'm getting it to him out in space and assuming he's going to make that first defender miss. So I like the matchups that he will provide us. And you saw, he was able to win just about every single time in that role, coming out of the backfield or splitting out wide as a receiver. They're going to treat him as a running back more likely than not. So take advantage of it. He's running that bench route from the slot. Yum, yum, eat him up. Yum, yum, eat him up. There's no linebacker that can run with him on that. Take advantage of it. And then I got to give major kudos to the offensive line. I was watching that film, and I was just pleased at what the offensive line did. Huge shout out to the tight ends. They blocked their asses off. Look, they weren't perfect. They got a lot of work to do. But you don't get 9-yard runs without guys getting a body on a body. And there was one, run by Brian Robinson on a 9-yard carry where you get both of the tight ends coming, and you get Sadiq Charles pulling. He takes on the first guy, and then into the hole goes Amani Rogers. He takes care of the linebacker, and Gibson's off to the, third level, essentially, second level, really. And that's a thing of beauty. And Rogers did a great job. Sadiq Charles did a great job. And I'm like, interesting. That's pretty good stuff. So I got major kudos to the offensive line. Even the sack that Wentz took, you go back and watch that thing, he's got all the space he could ask for to his left. He had made up in his mind that I'm gonna vacate to the right. I'm more comfortable throwing, running to my right. So I want to get to my right side. If he just tucks that thing and runs to his left, at worst, he may not get the first down because of the false start penalty, making it 3rd and 10. But he's going to get 6 or 7 yards. You slide down, and all right, we got a field goal attempt from the 28-yard line or so, and you keep it pushing. There was so much space. Even if he wanted to just run out to his left to extend, he could have done that. There was no one to get the football to, though. No one was going to come open. He was going to have to do that with his legs, more likely than not. But still, he ran into that sack. I'm gonna put that on Carson Wentz. If the protection was not great by those two blockers initially, especially tight end Amani Rodgers, he was terrible. But Sam came late. It didn't matter. He should not have been sacked on that play. He ran into that sack that Carson Wentz. So I put that one on him. Anyway, I thought the offensive line did a great job. Major kudos to them in this particular ball game. Let's get to the defensive side of the football. I know a lot of you probably want to hear that anyway. So, so for this first thing that I'm going to say probably doesn't matter to 75-80% of you. You don't care. You don't want to hear this shit. And I get it. But 27 plays offensively for the Chiefs to get 14 points. We made them work. And that's all I can ask for on a touchdown drive, is that you make them work. Nothing more debilitating as a fan, and I can't even imagine what it feels like as a player and a coach. Nothing more debilitating than a two-play 68-yard drive, or a one-play 73-yard drive, or a three-play 77-yard drive. And, of course, that last play culminating in a 67-yard touchdown or a 73-yard touchdown on one play, or the second play of a drive is a 68-yard strike, and boom, just like that, there's points on the scoreboard. That has to suck. As a fan, that shit is vomit worthy. It's cringe worthy. So that didn't happen. I want them to earn everything that they get, because the more plays you make them run, the more chances you give for something bad to occur, whether it's a batted ball that ends up incomplete or picked off, or, like we did with the Panthers last week, a fumbled snap. Like anything could happen. That derailed that entire drive. They were on the move. You get a fumble snap on second down. Now it's 3rd and 14, and now you get off the field. The more plays you make them run, the more likely it is something can occur that can derail the drive, whether it's a holding penalty. Like we had a false start. That shouldn't have derailed the drive, but it didn't help, certainly. It was a 5-yard penalty. It wasn't a 10 or a 15-yard penalty. But, anything can happen. So we made them work. 27 plays to get the 14 points. There was a 14-play drive and a 13-play drive. That's all I can ask for as a fan, is to make them work. And we made them work. Now, you want to get off the field. You don't want to see them score 2 touchdowns. But if they're going to do that, make them work for it. So let's go over the third downs. I did this kind of after the game during the post-game show, because, I could play that stuff back in my head. It was fresh. You guys, you could see those plays back in your head as well. So it was easy to recall those third downs. And I talked about, Cam Curl being the culprit for 3 out of the 5 conversions on third down by Patrick Mahomes and that first team offense over there in Kansas City. And so we played a lot of those back, but let's get into these in, particular, 4 of them. All right. One of them was a 3rd and 1 fullback dive. We don't need to talk about that one. Okay. But the other 4, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. Okay. So that whole Ron Rivera notion that first and second down defense hasn't been good enough, this, that, and the third, that was hogwash in this game. Okay. That was nullified. Whether they made an emphasis to try to put them in 3rd and long or whatever the case may be. I told you we did a great job stopping the run. So the Chiefs were one-dimensional. So they weren't throwing it. They weren't going to have any success, which that was a far cry from last week, because I felt like the Panthers actually were very successful running the football against us in the preseason opener. So it was good to see the defense really stop the run and force the Chiefs to have to beat us through the air. The problem was they beat us through the air. But let's start with the first 3rd and 6, right? That's a frustrating play, because that's the one where defensively, the secondary, first of all, no pass rush, okay? Outside of Montez Sweat, who literally got his hand on Mahomes' nameplate as he's being pushed by. He grabs Mahomes' nameplate, but he can't get enough of it to yank him down. And so Mahomes is able to do one of those, get off me numbers, roll out to his left. He sees the running back, Jerick McKinnon. This is a panic throw. All right, now he's fighting for his life on the snap after Montez Sweat gets pressure. So he finds the running back out in the flats. It's 3rd and 6. When he throws that ball, I'm thinking, we got him. Here comes Cam Curl. Cam doesn't miss. We got him. Cam takes a poor angle. He turns the corner on Cam and gets 14 on 3rd and 6. If Cam takes the proper angle, He's getting a 4, maybe a 5-yard gain. Now, maybe the Chiefs go for it on 4th and 1. Maybe the Chiefs go for it on 4th and 2. The likelihood is that they're going to go for it, but make them convert 4th down, okay? Instead, he takes a poor angle, and he turns the corner to Jerick McKinnon. It's a 14-yard gain. Frustrating, but that's one guy not doing his job adequately, okay? The rest of the field was covered really well. There's really nowhere for him to go, and there was pressure by Montez Sweat. 3rd and 10, okay? I talked about this on the post-game show, how frustrated I was with the officiating on that particular snap because Montez Sweat clearly is held. The flag is thrown. This should not have been an offsetter here. That was not pass interference by William Jackson III. That was bogus. And it gave the Chiefs another opportunity. You're off the field, and they're not in field goal range at that point. Okay, you're off the field on a 3rd and 10, and they're going to punt the football. That's a bad call by that official. That's a bad call. And it negated a good defensive effort across the board. There was nowhere for him to go with the football, which is why he threw that thing up there in the first place. There was nowhere for him to go. William Jackson was in great coverage. That's frustrating. And then obviously we know what happens next. They get a do-over on the 3rd and 10. And then look, I thought it was a great blitz. It was a great disguise. It was a great concept. A lot of you want to blame Jack Del Rio for shit. And it's easy. It's low-hanging fruit. If you're not watching the film, I don't want to hear you blaming anybody until you've actually done the work and you can say, this is why I'm blaming him. If you're just saying after watching the game, Del Rio stinks, get rid of him, but you didn't watch the film, I don't want to hear from you. Because this wasn't a Jack Del Rio problem, okay, on 3rd and 10, where he dials up a 6-man pressure, and it is executed to perfection. We got 2 guys coming free, not just one in Benjamin St. Juste. He's got a running mate with him, and Derek Forrest beating down on Patrick Mahomes, and Juice beats him there, knocks Mahomes to the ground, but not before Mahomes is able to throw a beautiful pass to Justin Watson over the top for a 39-yard gain. So what happened on this play? First of all, it's a beautiful concept, okay? You blitz from the nickel. You blitz the 2 defenders off the slot. You've got 2 guys looking like they're bearing down on the double A gap type blitz. And both of them drop out of there. One was Cam Curl, and he's got the number 3 on the play, okay? If you're reading it from left to right, he's got number 3, which is Justin Watson coming across on the over route. So he breaks out of there, and if the combination of the route takes Watson outside, William Jackson III is out there in zone. If it goes inside, Cam Curl runs with it. Anything that comes inside, Cam Curl is going to run with it. So Watson, as the 3, goes up the field. And all it took was one hesitation from Cam Curl. He stopped his feet. He was expecting Watson to break the route off near the sticks, and he never did. And I told you guys after the show, I said, I bet you he was looking for something else. He stopped his feet for just a fraction of a second. Well, Justin Watson never stopped his feet. And by the time he regathered himself, that guy was back by him, and he tried to grab him. He couldn't, and now it's a foot race. Cam Curl is not catching back up. And now you got a 39-yard completion. It was a great blitz. It was a great design. And it was just one guy didn't execute. That one guy was Cam Curl. So that's 39 on 3rd and 10. Should have never had that play again because, again, we should have been off the field on the prior snap. 3rd and 6. Again, this time, there is no rush whatsoever. Okay, Mahomes is back there chilling, grilling, put a couple of, burgers, a little, a slab of ribs on the grill. I mean, he's back there, got a nice Pepsi in his hand. He's having a ball back there, okay? Then he decides, man, it's getting a little hot over here. The grill smoke is getting to me. I'm going to just step away from the grill for a minute. I'm going to put the lid on the grill, let it cook for a little bit longer. I'm going to get out here, take a couple sips of this soda. And while I'm out here, I'm going to just find a receiver on 3rd and 4. Throw back across my body. This is some Patrick Mahomes shit. This is for the crowd that says, I don't care that it's Mahomes. You should care. Because I assure you, Trevor Lawrence ain't doing this shit. I assure you that Jalen Hurts ain't doing this shit. I assure you that Jared Goff ain't doing this shit. I assure you, okay, that those quarterbacks aren't doing that. Davis Mills, not doing that. Okay, Marcus Mariota, not doing that. Okay, Daniel Jones, not doing that. So miss me with the, well, I don't care that it's Patrick Mahomes. This defense is terrible. Yeah, we couldn't get off the field on third downs. But don't overstep your boundaries and overlook the fact that that's Patrick effing Mahomes. That means something. That's not supposed to be a completion on that play. You got Montez Sweat running after him. You got another defender running after him. And they got their hands up. And he still throws it sidearm and just misses their hand. And this is the thing you also have to understand when you're playing against a team with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. They're never going to stop trying to get open because they know their guy is always going to keep the play alive. So they're going to constantly be working to get open. That wasn't terrible coverage by Cole Holcomb, who was not good in this game, okay? But that was not terrible coverage initially. But Cole Holcomb can't cover for 6 seconds. Nobody can. And so his guy goes up the field, Cole's in his back pocket, he goes out, Cole's in his back pocket, and then he bends back inside, and Cole looks back for a second, and then he loses his luggage. And just at that split second, Mahomes goes sidearm back across his body in the air and throws a bullet, a dart, right to Justin Watson for 14 yards. What can you do? That's the one where you just say, hey, that's Mahomes. That's a one-of-one. Ain't shit I can do about that. It'd be nice to get some pressure on him, though. It'd be nice if he wasn't back there cooking a full 4-course meal. He's got time to check on the rice to see if it's soft enough. You know, put the lid back on that. That can go for a few more seconds. He'd go over here, check on the vegetables. The broccoli's coming along nice. Put the lid back on that. Let that simmer a little bit longer. The broccoli can get a little bit softer, right? Okay. Now he's checking on the meat. Still a little tough. Put that back in the oven for a little while. I'll check it in another 5 or 10 seconds. It'd be nice if he wasn't back there cooking a 4-course meal. Then decide to get outside the pocket and do some Mahomes magic shit. We got to be better in the pressure department. There. That was, and you know, the crazy part about that play was the rush was non-existent on that play. But he wanted to throw the football to he wanted to throw. No, I'm thinking about the throw with Bobby McCain. He wanted to throw. So this was a second down throw where you remember the one that McCain gave up the 30-yarder. McCain got beat off the line. All right, it's a deep over route by the tight end Justin Watson, or excuse me, Noah Gray. It was Noah Gray. He gets beat off the line initially on that deep over route, and Cole Holcomb is eyeballing Mahomes the entire way, and so Mahomes pumps it because he's going to throw it. But if he throws that, it's one of two things: it's either deflected by Cole Holcomb and picked off, or it's just picked off by Cole Holcomb. Either way, it's going to end bad for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense if he throws this football, because my guy Cole Holcomb is eyeballing him the entire way and he's all over it. And he even jumps in the air, and that's when Mahomes pumps it like, oh, shit, I shouldn't throw this one. So then that's when he gets outside again. No rush. Gets outside. And that's when he finds Noah Gray, who initially beat Bobby McCain. But then when Cole Holcomb jumps in the air, that gave McCain enough time to recover. He's back into play. He's right where he needs to be. And then McCain, just like Cole Holcomb earlier in the game, looks back to see what Mahomes is doing. Mind your business, okay? Pay attention to the business that pays you. Your luggage is 83, Noah Gray. Don't look back there at 15. He peeks back for a second. Noah Gray goes up the field, and Mahomes says, oh, don't mind if I do. Boop. 30 yards. But that wasn't the third down. The final third down was a 3rd and 7. Second touchdown for Jody Fortson. 3rd and goal from the 7-yard line. And this is the one that irked Ron. So this was the one where he kept harping about the pass rush integrity and staying in your rush lanes and team defense and doing what you're supposed to do your job. Casey Toohill, way too far up the field. Okay. And if you're going to get up that far up the field, your job as a rusher is to retrace your steps. At some point, you got to realize I'm heading down a dead end. Okay, there is no way I'm getting to the quarterback, and I'm just running myself out of this play. At some point, you got to stop, pivot, turn, and come back up the field. Fold back up the field. And when Mahomes decides he wants to try to get up the field and come out of that little pocket that you created, that's when you come from behind and you hit him and he fumbles the ball because he didn't expect you to fall back underneath. But that's not what Casey Toohill did. He let that tackle ride his ass 12, 15 yards up the field out of the play, and Mahomes just steps out casually as he does. And he finds, the tight end, Jody Fortson. And again, it's not bad coverage by Cam Curl. He just didn't stay plastered to him. Instead, for a second, I don't think he even let up. You got to stay connected in that situation. You have to be on his body. Once the quarterback leaves, you can get away with some shit. The same rules don't apply. So you can hold him a little bit. Now that the quarterback's moving around, he should have been holding on to Jody Fortson like, bro, where you going? And instead, he was just running behind him, but not touching him. And so when that ball came out, Fortson was able to box him out a little bit. And Curl went for the pick. If you look at it, he didn't go for the knockdown. If he just went in there with one arm, he probably would have knocked the shit down. He went for the pick. He was being greedy. And it went right through. And so my only advice to him in that particular situation, stay connected, stay plastered, be even closer than that. Closer than close. Yeah. Let's get closer. You got to be close. I'm talking about so closer, babe. And I'm talking about that minute he throw that thing, that's when you break on it. Because you can even pull yourself towards the ball. You might be able to get away with it. You may not be able to. But he didn't have hands on him. And it's just that little bit of daylight. Anyway, I said all of that to tell you that the 3rd down defense wasn't as bad as everyone made it out to be. Look, 5 of 5. That's the bottom line. Whatever, you don't care what it looks like. You care about the end result. And they converted all 5 of them. The Chiefs with Mahomes on the field. So I'm still encouraged. I'm encouraged. Because we're not going to play him again this season unless we make it to the Super Bowl. We're not going to play Patrick Mahomes again. And we play Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers isn't Patrick Mahomes in terms of his movement anymore. So I feel good about that. Jamin Davis was fantastic, and Cole Holcomb struggled in this game. Jamin Davis, he had one play where I'm not quite sure. I'd really love to know exactly what his role was, because I really feel like he was supposed to run with the back, and he didn't, and he was just like, well, F it. I done effed up my responsibility. I might as well just go after Mahomes now. Don't compound the situation by allowing Mahomes a clear path to do whatever the hell he wants. Make him just get rid of it. Even if it's to the guy that I'm supposed to be covering, don't let him have 15 seconds back here to throw now. So, that's the play where they, on the second touchdown drive, right before the touchdown, to get them into 1st and goal. It was a 2nd and 10 because Mahomes just had an incompletion on 1st down. You're thinking, okay, if you get a stop here on this 2nd and 10, it's 3rd and long. We might have a chance to get off the field again. And Jamin Davis, the running back, comes out of the backfield, Pacheco, and he whiffs. He's supposed to get a piece of him, redirect him, I think run with him. And the dude gave him a hard jab, step outside, went inside of him. And Jamin Davis was like, shit, I missed him. I'm just going to go after Mahomes now. I'm thinking that's what happened. Maybe he was supposed to be going after Mahomes the entire time, and maybe he just tried to get a piece of the back to slow him down a bit before he went to Mahomes. Whatever the case may be, it was an easy throw for Mahomes. It was way too easy. But outside of that, Jamin Davis was fantastic in coverage. He was aggressive attacking the line of scrimmage, taking on blocks. He shed a couple of blocks and made tackles. One that I thought, come on, I need you to be a little bit stronger. He actually got to the running back in the backfield. It either is a tackle for no gain or a tackle for a loss, and instead that guy drags him for like a yard or two. Like, come on, man, be stronger. But he did everything right except finish that thing without that guy being able to get, the extra yards after contact. But, he had another play where he shed the damn center, made the tackle for a 1-yard gain. Jamin Davis was great in coverage. He was alert. He was aggressive. This was his best game that I've seen him play as a professional. Meanwhile, conversely, Cole Holcomb struggled. And honestly, he wasn't terrible. He just struggled. You got to play where Travis Kelce gives him a quick stem inside, boom, outside, and he's wide open for a quick 9-yard gain on a first down. It's like, that's too easy, Cole. The Justin Watson play on the third down, that's tough on Cole. You asking him to cover for 5-6 seconds. That's ridiculous. But he, even on that play, that's just tough. I can't even be mad at him. That's tough. Down by the end zone, it was an out route by, I want to say it was one of the receivers. Cole was in man-to-man coverage, essentially. And the receiver just, again, same thing, kind of a little jab inside. Gave him a little push, but that's what you do at the stem of a route. If you can get away with it, just a little elbow to separate. And he was able to separate, get the catch, and then Jamin Davis had to clean him up. So, Cole was not, what we need him to be as a pass defender in this game. But even in that same breath, I told you he, forced Mahomes to pump fake on a pass that he really wanted to throw, but he was in that passing lane and would have done something with that had he let it go. So, Cole was okay. He wasn't good enough though. He's got to be better. Kendall Fuller's a dog. I don't know what the hell y'all are talking about. And if I'm not talking to you, then I'm not talking to you. But some of y'all, just for whatever reason, don't like Kendall Fuller, think he's overrated. Kendall Fuller's an effing dog. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Kendall Fuller was outstanding in this game. Yeah, he gave up the 1 touchdown. That's a great throw by Mahomes, man. Honestly, I don't know if many dudes is going to do anything with that. That receiver came, challenged him, and then turned and pivot, and that ball was on his back shoulder. The only thing Fuller could have probably done a little bit better was push him as he caught that, try to push him and get his feet out of bounds before he could get him down in bounds. But before he could react, that ball was already out on the back shoulder. I mean, other than that, he broke up the pass down on the deep ball when Mahomes tried to get it, to Sky Moore, the rookie. He broke that up beautifully. He broke on a second down throw on 2nd and 7 that brought up one of the or 2nd and 6, that brought up one of the 3rd and 6s. He broke on a slant, broke that up. Mahomes tried him on another, back shoulder throw, but he was right there. It was essentially a throwaway because he was in such great coverage. Kendall Fuller's a dog. Yeah, he breaks up just about every screen you throw to his side of the field. I don't know what the hell some of y'all are talking about. I don't know what y'all watching. I don't know what the hell y'all are on, but Kendall Fuller is a dog defensively. He was outstanding in this game. Montez Sweat needs help. I worried about this without Chase Young. For all of the shit that everyone wants to talk about Chase Young, he's this, he's that. He's somebody you got to worry about on the other side. Montez Sweat, poor Montez Sweat, was busting his ass in this game, and he had no help on the other side. I felt so bad for him. I talked about the one play where he got his hand on Mahomes' nameplate, but wasn't able to get him down. And then he throws it to the running back out of the backfield, Jerick McKinnon, and he turns the corner on Cam Curl for the first down. Then you got the last touchdown. Sweat's coming from the opposite side of the field. He's gaining on Mahomes, and he dives at his legs. And there's and Casey Toohill doesn't do his job on the opposite side. Jonathan Allen's quit on the play. He never was going to do anything on that play. He saw that he was being double teamed, and he just said, "Hey, Sweat got it." He was by himself, and this is the worry for me. I said this after the first preseason game. I love the rush. I need it to be consistent, and it can't just be Montez Sweat. He needs help. It just has to be one more guy. Whether that guy's Jonathan Allen, it doesn't have to be the same guy every time. Doesn't have to be the same guy every week. Doesn't have to be the same guy on every snap. He just needs help. I know what I'm getting out of Montez Sweat on every single snap he's on the football field. I'm getting maximum effort. I'm getting pressure. If there's 10 snaps, Sweat's getting pressure on 6 or 7 of those 10 snaps. I just need him to have help. It's hard to turn the corner when there's no interior collapse. So now the quarterback can just step up, which has never been our thing. We've never been a collapse the pocket type of team. It's always win with quickness. So I felt for Sweat, man. He needs some help, man, in the worst way. The jury is still out on Juice in the slot. I was not impressed. Went back and watched. We all know about the one play that I brought up on the post-game show where Mahomes. So what happened on that play was I told you what I saw in the moment, and that was accurate. That guy gave him a little post corner action. So he act like he was going to the post, and Juice bit it. And boom, he went back outside. And on that particular route, you take it flat to the sideline, like a bench route, so to speak. And Mahomes wanted him to take it up the field because he's like, yo, you got him. It's a touchdown. Why run it like a bench, like it's designed to be run, where that's going to run you out of bounds when it ain't a safety over the top and you got this dude by, 4 steps. Just take it uptown. I'm going to hit you, and it's game time. They're not there yet. If that's Tyreek Hill's going for the jugular. He's not going for the, 18-yard gain out of bounds. Tyreek Hill wants the 68-yarder, and so he's taking it uptown. So that's the difference between, the chemistry. They're working on that. And Mahomes will tell him, he's beating his chest like, hey, but they're going to sit down, they're going to talk, and he's like, yo, if you get him beat that badly, take that shit uptown, and I got you, bro. So he got lucky. It was a miscommunication between Mahomes and his receiver. He should have been beat there. And then there was another snap where I felt like he got beat to the inside on that snap too. And if Mahomes wanted it, he went somewhere else and it ended up being incomplete. Had he wanted it though, he could have gone to Juice's receiver who beat him inside. Actually, it was the same route. It was another post corner. Excuse me. It was another post corner where the guy got behind him. So I look at Juice and I don't know if he has the agility, man. He's a big dude. It's hard to break that down, turn, and change directions with that kind of size. I question, can he be effective in the slot consistently? He may make some plays here and there, but I think he's going to be, in some situations with quick guys that are going to break him off, and he's not going to even be close. I still worry about him inside, to be honest with you. And then finally, the safeties have to play better, and the rush needs to hit home. I could talk about, the coverage all day long till my face turns blue. I actually thought the coverage wasn't all that bad in this particular game, but the safeties have to be better, and the coverage needs to hit home. So Curl wasn't good in this game, as I've mentioned already. Bobby McCain gave up the 30-yarder. It wasn't a terrible play, but you can't have it, right? And then I watched Derek Forrest. So on the play where Mahomes challenges Kendall Fuller on the deep post, they ran double posts on that side. And inside of there was Derek Forrest getting turned around. And if Mahomes had saw that, that would have been an easy walk-in touchdown. Forrest gets turned around, guy crosses his face, and there's nothing but space and opportunity all the way across the field. If Mahomes leads him out towards the back pylon, it's an easy walk-in touchdown. There's nothing Derek Forrest can do about it. But he instead went after Kendall Fuller. That was a bad move. That's bad news. It was the wrong decision because Fuller was there and broke it up. But these safeties got to be better, man. They truly do. I like them. I don't love them. They've got a lot to prove to me. And until they prove it, I'm going to look at them as a liability on the back end right now. They got to be better. Simply put, got to be better. Got to get more out of the safety position. All right, so that was upon further review. I walked away the same way I felt after the game, and I feel even more so comfortable after watching the film. We're fine, man. I am not tripping, okay? I am not moving off of my spot. I feel really good about what I saw. There's some things that have to be cleaned up. This is why you do these things in the preseason. But from the Jack Del Rio blitz to, us being in zone coverage and it being slightly tighter, but there's still holes in our zone coverage. I'm not going to lie to you. I think our eye discipline right now is not where it needs to be. I see guys getting in themselves potentially in trouble with quarterbacks that are going to extend with us watching the quarterback instead of watching the man that we're covering. I see a lot of our guys falling off of dudes, looking to make a play, watching the quarterback, and the guy that they're covering continuing to work and get open. That's got to change because we play a lot of mobile quarterbacks that are going to extend the play. They're not Patrick Mahomes, but they're going to extend the play, either to run or to try to make something happen, and we got to be better in our pursuit of those guys. So practice today. All I really want to talk about is participation in practice, and then we'll jump into what was said. So on the side field, you got the 2 tight ends still, Cole Turner, John Bates. So they're still not back in individual drills yet. And so we're going to keep our eye on that. I would imagine that they're getting close. We got 3 weeks until the first game of the season, so I'm not tripping. Neither should you. They can afford to take it slow with these guys this time of the year. But some guys that did make their return back to practice in a limited capacity, in individual drills, not back on the field in 7-on-7, 9-on-9s, or 11-on-11s, but back on the individual drills, nothing team related. Andrew Norwell was back in individual drills at the guard position. So was Charles Leno Jr. We still don't know what actually happened that caused him to not be able to get on the flight and make the trip out to Kansas City. Ron said after the game that it was a medical situation, but he would not expound upon that. So hopefully all is well with him. He was back at practice working in individual drills. Wes Schweitzer, that's a sign of relief there as well. It's a big sigh of relief for me, is back. Even though I think Sadiq Charles did a really solid job, Wes Schweitzer is back in the mix. And so was J.D. McKissick off to the side, or off in individual drills getting work. So we're starting to get a little bit healthier. We're waiting for some other guys to get back, but that's a good sign that we're starting to get guys back. And then obviously the big news of the day, Logan Thomas being brought back off of the PUP list. He's not, participating in full team drills, not ready for contact quite yet. However, he is performing in individual drills and looked explosive. I saw him in a couple of drills today, pad work pretty much. He looked good. He looked like a guy that was really starting to gain confidence back in that knee. So that's good to know, but he's still a little ways away. He still is non-committal. Speaking of which, let's get to the press conferences from today. So Ron spoke, and he said, he pretty much, I'll give you the cliff notes of what I gathered. Ron doubled down on the defensive line needing to rush better in terms of their pass rush lanes and things of that nature. Again, kept harping on that one particular snap, but overall, the overarching theme is that they need to be more disciplined in their pass rush lanes. Corn Elder, who I was a little nervous for because he almost had an interception, hit his head on the turf diving for that interception, which I think caused him to drop the football. Ultimately, left the game, did not return, was placed in the blue tent. I thought he was in concussion protocol, but apparently he passed all of his baseline tests during the game. And since it was a preseason game, they didn't bother to put him back in, and passed all of his tests today and was able to practice. So that's good news because he's a guy vying for one of the final cornerback spots on this roster. And ultimately, I think he might be the best option that we have as our 5th corner as constructed. He talked about Logan Thomas coming off of the PUP list, said that, they're not going to rush him back. And we'll see. There's no timetable on when he'll be reinserted into practice on a full-time basis, getting teamwork. And there's no, timetable for when he'll be back. Just because he's off the PUP list doesn't mean he will be ready for week 1. What it does say, however, is that he will not start the season on the PUP list. And whether it's not week 1, but rather week 2, or not week 2, but rather week 3, he's going to play before week 4. But that's essentially what that says. Talked about Derek Forrest's growth as a safety and, the areas in which they've seen him grow. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. And then they signed 2 tight ends because they were down to 1 tight end, obviously, that was healthy. But I told you, Eli Wolf played well. They still got Amani Rogers. It's going to be hard to keep this guy off the roster with what he's done, just in the short period of time and all the reps that he's had to take. That guy has been super impressive. So you go to Logan Thomas. After practice, he spoke. He's getting close to contact. Obviously, he's working in individual drills right now. The last step is for him to get back into team drills and teamwork. But he's working on the side with Carson Wentz, working on some route combinations with him. And, just catching the football from him and getting a feel for what that's going to be like, how different it is from catching passes from Taylor Heineke, things of that nature. He's back slightly earlier than he anticipated. He thought he would be back after the third preseason game is when they would activate him off the PUP list. So he's back a week earlier than he expected. So that's great news. He's not putting a timeline on his return, but he is aiming for week number 1. That's what players do. But there's no guarantees. Like if I don't feel like I can contribute at 100%, then I have no problems prolonging it a week or 2. So we'll see what happens there. And then Derek Forrest spoke. I think this is one of the first times we've heard Derek Forrest. Obviously, we heard from him as a rookie, but not very often. So he said he feels more comfortable back deep than he does up around the line of scrimmage. I told you he got beat on a play against Kansas City playing back deep, but still says he feels a lot more comfortable in that regard than he does up around line of scrimmage. But he's like, I'm not afraid of that task. He's been in that Buffalo nickel role, and that usually puts him closer to the line of scrimmage. He says, I love to hit anyway, so I don't mind being up around the line of scrimmage, but he feels a lot more comfortable playing a little bit further away from the line of scrimmage. He says mentally he's further along this year than he was last year. That's what you expect to hear. He's like, I'm so comfortable with identifying formations and looks and route concepts and what I should be keying in on. And so I can play a lot faster now than I could this time last year. So he sees himself as more than just a special teams guy, and he should, because he's getting reps with the ones and meaningful ones at that. So just want to see him continue to grow, between him and Percy Butler. Just want to see those guys continue to grow, and then we'll see their roles on this team grow as they continue to, assimilate themselves into this defense and what they're being asked to do. So let's get to the comment section and any of your comments that you may have out there, and we'll get out of here thereafter. So got a super chat here from Sonny Rawson. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Sonny. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Sonny Rawson, writes, not super upset, Lou. Just the same story every single time. Day late, dollar short on defensive cleverness. Offense looks like it's missing something. Sad. Now, I can take that, okay? I can take that. That's a reasonable take, okay? That's reasonable to feel that way after that preseason game. Like, same shit, same story. It looks like how it always looks. We're just one step behind defensively. Offensively, we can move it, but we never finish. I get that. And, I've got, you could call them excuses. I call them reasons. I've got my reasons for feeling how I feel, and it varies from no JD McKissick. Still haven't seen the 5 guys that are going to start up front for us on the field at once. Still waiting on the tight end room to fill itself out. We're down to our 6th and 7th tight ends on the roster currently. So I'm waiting for that room to fill back up with guys that we expect to be contributors. There's so many different, and then the route concepts and the things, these are all vanilla. Like, I'm watching some of these, like, you're not getting open on some of these concepts. They're so basic what we're doing, what Scott Turner is showing. He's not showing anything right now, okay? So, some of these concepts, it doesn't get much more basic than what we ran. You're not getting guys open on some of these concepts. So we're going to ramp up the offensive intensity, and we're going to ramp up the creativeness with this offense and all the weapons that we have. I'm sure of it. And defensively, yeah, it's frustrating. And I wish I could just put my finger on exactly what the problem is, but it seems like it's something different. One week it's the rush, then the week before it's the secondary. This week it was one guy really in particular that struggled in individual situations. 1 week it's the play calling, it's not aggressive enough. This week it's aggressive enough, and guys still don't get the job done. So, it's something different. It feels like every time. They've got to fix it. Period. End of discussion. They've got to fix it. Thank you for that, Sonny Rawson. Let's see if I have any more supers. And let's see. Feel like it just skipped a whole bunch of them, and it did. I don't know what the hell just happened, but I see them. Here they go. Super chat here from Big Money Sonny. Thank you for the super chat, my guy, Big Money Sonny. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, I don't care, Lou. Our defense is trash, no excuses. And that's going to be the approach that some of y'all take. And that's fine. I'm not looking to convince. The person that makes their mind up, no matter what, I'm not looking to convince that person. So I'm not looking to convince Big Money Sonny. There's nothing I can say that's going to change his mind. They're going to have to go out on the field and go execute. And that's the way it should be in terms of what they need to do. But I'm not looking to change Sonny's mind. He's already made up his mind. The defense stinks. Okay, so be it. Jay Hunter Lee, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Jay Hunter Lee, writes, Brother Lou, always good to see you, bro. Likewise, Jay Hunter Lee. He says, I see why many people are upset. Year after year, coach after coach, QB after QB, the preseason and the regular season has mostly looked the same. And I get that. What I don't like is if you're going to give them a chance, give them a chance. Like, I get it. If you were pessimistic, if you were like, man, this is 8 wins, then keep that same energy. Which that energy that I got from the preseason game number 2 was the energy of a fan that felt like this was an 8-win outfit to begin with. They were never sold on 10, 11, 12 wins. So that energy that I felt was of an 8 and 9 team. And it's cool. If that's how you felt, that's what they look like, right? Okay? That's what it looked like. But if you had the energy of 10, 11, 12 wins, give them a chance. This is a preseason. This shit does not count. Give them an opportunity to game plan. Give them an opportunity to play against the opponents that they will be playing against. Again, I wouldn't have this level of confidence if we were playing the schedule we played last year. Because of the way our defense looks, I don't care how good our offense is. You're not going to outscore the Bills led by Josh Allen. You're not going to outscore the Brady-led Buccaneers. You're not going to outscore if you can't get stops defensively. You're not going to outscore Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. You're not going to outscore Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. We weren't going to outscore all of those elite-level quarterbacks that were on our schedule last year. So I feel differently because that's not the schedule we're playing. Those aren't the quarterbacks we're playing. Those aren't the offenses we're playing. We're going to be fine. That's the way I see it. Now, defensively, I've got my doubts. But I told you I put my eggs in the offensive basket. This looks different. The offense looks different. Yeah, they weren't able to finish on these drives. But I know talent when I see talent. We haven't had this kind of talent in Washington since 2015. So I'm ready to strike up the band. I'm ready to start the party offensively. I'm ready to score some points. Something we haven't done in a number of years. Since Kirk Cousins left in 2017, we haven't scored points. I'm ready to score some points this season. For the first time in a long time. So I get why people are upset. And I made sure I preface everything that I was saying with, as a fan, we've been preconditioned to feel that way. But come on, guys, after a preseason game, y'all got to come better than that. Let's see. Jay Hunter Lee, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Jay Hunter Lee, greatly appreciate you, who writes, we also can't blame it all on Snyder. Before Snyder, we didn't we only have one playoff win or appearance under Norv? Who owned the team then? The difference was you weren't such a poorly ran organization. Okay, that's the difference. Yep. Since Gibbs had retired, we had only been to the playoffs in one season, and that was 99. And once Jack Kent Cook passed away, there was no ownership. That was the problem. But it didn't matter that Norv had only been to the playoffs once. The fact of the matter is we were still viewed as a top-notch organization, was the Washington Redskins. We weren't that far removed from our last Super Bowl. And that team in 99 was pretty damn good before Daniel Snyder got his funky-ass, sticky fingerprints all over this roster and started tearing shit up, like getting rid of Brad Johnson essentially for Jeff George and stupid shit like that. So there's enough blame to go around, but there's 95% of it goes to Daniel Snyder. You can't overlook the impact that he's had, whether it's the drafting of Dwayne Haskins when his scouts told him that's not what you want to do, and him essentially taking over the draft room and saying, no, you're going to draft Dwayne Haskins. What he did with Robert Griffin III, obviously that's well documented. I could go on and on. He sabotaged this organization 50 million times over. So the whole "you can't blame Daniel Snyder" angle, you could throw that out of the window. That he is to blame for a lot of what's going on, for 95% of what's going on here in Washington. Stop fumbling, young man. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, JDR might need his face smacked if this continues. Again, I'm not going to blame him. There are times when I felt like this isn't good enough from Jack. This isn't good enough. I haven't felt that way it's the preseason. So, we'll see what happens when the regular season starts. But I can tell you this. I liked what he did in this preseason game against the Chiefs. We just need to execute better, period. End of discussion. It's really not much more to talk about than that. Need to have these players be accountable and be better. Rosario PLHH. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Rosario PLHH. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, writes, excited for the new LTN merch. Thank you. Thanks for your work. Truly do appreciate you. And I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it. It's a process. A lot of changes. So I appreciate you guys waiting patiently, but I can't wait to release it. Fernando Aguilar. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Fernando Aguilar writes, Louie, how would you recruit someone that wants to get into football or be a Commander fan? So how would you recruit someone that wants to get into football or to be a Commanders fan, I would guess is what you were saying. I don't know if recruit is the right word when it comes to a fan. Like, that has to happen organically. It's hard to force someone to be a fan of a specific team. I always find that usually you become a fan of a team at an early age, and there's usually something that, allows that to happen. Some people are born into it. They don't really have a choice. And then others, it's something like, hey, a commander came to my school when I was 6, and I'll never forget, he gave me a backpack. And from that point on, I was a Washington Redskins fan, like that's the kind of story that you have when you're a little kid. My dad took me to a game. This is not me. I'm just making up something. My dad took me to a game when I was 7. It was Jets and Raiders, and the Raiders came from behind and won. And from that point on, I was a Raiders fan. My dad took me to camp one year, and after practice, one of the, Tennessee Oilers at the time, signed my helmet that I had. My dad had bought me. And after that, I was a Tennessee Oilers, now a Tennessee Titans fan ever since. Like something like that. It usually is something like that. Or for me, it was really simple. I was young. These teams were good, and I saw them on TV, and that's why I became a fan. It's not hard. So it's hard for me to tell you what to tell someone else if you're trying to recruit them to be a fan, or even just to, be interested in football. It's a lot. If you're not interested in football or you don't know the game, it's a lot that they have to learn. Anyway, Fernando Aguilar, thank you for the super chat once again. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Fernando, who writes, okay, Louie, now how would you recruit someone to be a Packer fan, which I am. A Packer fan, and Jordan Love isn't it. We need to look at these college QBs. Again, it's hard to do that, to recruit someone to be a fan of, a team. I think the easiest way to recruit someone is to just force feed them that same product over and over again. And either they're going to ultimately give in and fall in love, or they're going to be like, okay, enough of this. This team sucks if they're not any good. If they're good, they might just start liking them because they're good. But, Jordan Love, it's interesting what's going on with him in Green Bay. Obviously, he's not going to get a real chance to play and prove himself, which he probably needs snaps in meaningful games to be able to see if he can do it or not. Just playing in the preseason and, that one game he got last year against Kansas City, which he didn't look good in, it's hard to gauge. The coaching staff feels like he's learning, he's getting better. They feel really good about him, but that's cool in the preseason. I mean, what happens when you put him in the regular season? And that's what he's got to prove, that he can get it done at a high level when the chips are, at stake. So I like Jordan Love. I was a huge Jordan Love guy coming out of, Utah State. And so I am still on board, even though it hasn't always been pretty, especially, in the preseason this year and that one start last year. Keith, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Keith writes, "What up, Lou? Hey, I know you was talking bad about Gibby last week, LOL, but catching 15 to 30 yards down the field with daylight, he's dangerous. Need more of it." Well, I'm assuming your LOL meant that you were joking, because I wasn't talking bad about Gibby last week. That's my guy, and I want to see him win. And I wanted him to start initially, but I've come to the realization that he's not the answer at the running back position for us in terms of giving us the best chance to stay ahead of the sticks down and distance wise. So I love the way that they're utilizing him, getting him the football out in space. I think it's definitely going to help this offense be more dynamic and harder to contain. So I like where he is right now, and want to see him continue to grow in that role. Keith, thank you for the super chat once again. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Keith, who also writes, "Also, you saying my name wrong, bro. It's Keith, like short for Marquise. So Queese sounds more like Keys. Nevertheless, you, my man, keep grinding." So Keith or Marquise. I've always called anybody named Marquise, not Marquise, which if you want your name said in a particular way, then you got to tell people how to say your name. I have always said it like Keys, but it's like Marquise. So it can be Keys, Quees. It's just how you want it said. You said sounds more like Keys. So like Marquise. So Quees. Is that how you want it said? Either way, I appreciate you. Good looking out. And Quees it is. Quees it is. So otherwise notified. Thank you for the super chat, Quees. Greatly appreciate you. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Big Money Sonny writes, 29 is super fricasseed / triple baked ZD, Lou. Now that I'm not even having a conversation with you on that, because you straight tripping, and I couldn't disagree with you more. So I'm not even going there with you on that one. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny writes, every dog has its day. The reason he makes a few plays is because he's consistently getting picked on, Lou. So you'd be okay with him giving up a touchdown every game as long as he breaks up a few screens. Well, he doesn't give up a touchdown every single game. Okay. So that's the problem. That's the thing is so there's certain positions on the field where they have so many snaps, and it's the one that they don't have a good play on that everyone remembers, and that's why they suck. But there's 70 snaps in an NFL game, and you could target Kendall Fuller 8 times, and he might only give up 2 catches. One might go for a touchdown. Kendall Fuller always getting cooked. Well, that's trash. Kendall Fuller's holding it down over there. See, this is the problem. Y'all want guys to be dominant out here, and y'all not watching the rest of the league. Y'all watch this team, and then you base how you feel about players based off of what you see, and you don't have the proper context. There are a lot of really bad corners in this league. Kendall Fuller is not that, okay? He's really good, actually. And the fact that some of y'all can't see it, I actually don't know what some of y'all are watching, you know. And so if a tackle for 70 snaps, if a tackle is good for 68 of them, but he gives up 1 sack and 1 pressure, and the pressure leads to another guy getting a sack and it forces a fumble, that's all you're going to talk about. That guy was outstanding for most of the game, gave up 1 pressure and 1 sack, and you don't want to give up any sacks. But look, it happens in this league. You're not going to be perfect, okay? The best corners in this league get cooked. Jalen Ramsey was getting cooked in the Super Bowl. Cooked. On the very last play of the game, he fell down and Jamar Chase was wide ass open for a touchdown. And what saved them was Aaron Donald got to Joe Burrow's ass before he could find him wide ass open down the sideline. Okay? So, again, everybody gets worked. And for me, y'all just, for whatever reason, y'all just pick on certain guys. Kendall Fuller's one of those dudes. So be it. I'm not going to keep wasting my breath trying to explain to y'all that Kendall Fuller's a dog and that he's probably the best corner that we have, but he's right now listed as a number 2. He's a damn good 2. And you could argue he's the best corner on our team. But some of y'all don't see it. I'm not going to keep arguing with y'all. Okay? If you don't see it, then you don't see it. But you need to wash your face and get your mind right if you think Kendall Fuller's baked ziti, as you like to say. Let's see if we got any more supers, or was that the last one? Got another super chat. So I do have another one here. This one is from Jamal Ford Jr. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jamal Ford Jr. writes, hype for Logan to be back. I am too. He's not quite back yet, right? But he's off the PUP list. So that's the first step to the road to recovery for him, is get off the PUP list. And the next thing is for him to be reintegrated into team drills. So 7-on-7, 9-on-9, 11-on-11. And once he gets reintegrated into that, now we're a step closer to him being ready to be entered into the starting lineup. So we're in phase 2 now. Phase 1 was get him off the PUP list. Now we're into phase 2. See how long we stay in phase 2, which is individual drills. And when he'll graduate to team drills, which is one step closer to our ultimate goal of getting him back into the lineup. But I'm excited that he's back as well. That's going to be a huge boost for this offense. We were so much better offensively with him and J.D. McKissic in the lineup. So it makes a massive difference when he is healthy and able to help this team. Richard R., thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Richard writes, chilling on the beach on vacay listening to LTN. Hey, I appreciate you, Richard. Thank you so much for the support. You're on vacation, man. The last thing you should be worried about is this team. And yet you over here on vacation, on the beach, chilling, listening to me, your man, Louie T. I greatly appreciate that, Richard. So shout out to my guy, Richard, and thank you so much for the support. Tony P56, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Tony P56 writes, Lou, we could win 11 games this year, but I'm legit concerned about weeks 1 and 2. We always play from behind. Giggity. He says, still hopeful, but this will be our year, our good year. So, that's the thing, is you should be concerned with weeks 1 and 2. You should be concerned about every single week when it comes to this team. We're not good enough to overlook an opponent or assume that we're going to win a game, okay? Which is why I've been saying week 1, Jacksonville's looking at us like food. We're looking at them like food somebody's going to eat. Week 2, Detroit licking their chops, thinking they're going to have themselves a Commander's feast. We're looking at them and saying, hey, man, lion meat, never tasted it, but love to sink my teeth into some of it. What's good? So somebody's going to eat. I'm hoping it's us in both of those games, and that sets us up with an undefeated matchup, because I think the Eagles are going to win their first 2 games of the season, and I'm hoping it sets up a 2-0 Washington versus 2-0 Philadelphia matchup in week 3. So we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, got to take care of business, one game at a time. I'm worried about Jacksonville before we can even talk about Detroit, so that's where I'm at with mine. But you got to take care of business. And you're right. Slow starts hurt you. They put you behind the 8 ball. You shouldn't be on a 4-game win streak, and that 4-game win streak just gets you back to 500. If you start the season like you're supposed to and you win 4 or 5 in a row, that's going to put you 4 or 5 games over 500. That's how we need to start. That's the kind of time we need to be on this year, not like past years. Queez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you. My guy Queez writes, you had it right with the way you said Marquise. So Keys is how we gonna say it then. Keys. All right, I got you. Keys. It is. And so, like you said, kind of close to Keys. So Marquise. Keys is how we gonna go with it. Keys is what we gonna do there. Thank you for the super chat, Keys. Greatly appreciate you. Jamal Ford Jr. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Jamal Ford Jr. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, double up. You know what it is, man. You know what it is, Jamal. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Big Money Sonny writes, best corner on a 32nd ranked pass defense. Come on, Lou. I know I'm getting on your nerves, but reality is our pass coverage is mud butt. You're not getting on my nerves. I don't mind having these conversations, with you. And even if I'm not talking to you because it's falling on deaf ears, I'm talking to somebody else that's listening. So no, you're not getting on my nerves. At the end of the day, you can be a really good defender on a bad defense. Individuals can be really good. That happens too, Just because your defense as a whole stinks doesn't mean every individual part on the defense sucks. So keep that in mind as well. There have been some really good players to play on some really bad teams. You see it all the time. All right. So can't really go with that, theory of, best corner on the 32nd ranked defense, pass defense. Nah, not quite. Because you could throw away from a guy, eat up the guy opposite of him. Your safeties could suck, and they're not throwing at you at all. They're not even challenging you because you're so good. That's not what's happening with Kendall Fuller, but he makes his fair share of plays. Red Wings 01. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Red Wings 01 writes, so if Juice isn't the guy in the slot consistently, who do you see it being? Danny Johnson, Butler? They haven't inspired a ton of confidence yet either. Right. That's why I'm nervous about the cornerback position as a whole. After the two guys that are starters on the outside, and I like Danny Johnson. I haven't given up on Danny Johnson, but he scared me earlier, in the Carolina game. But I saw enough last year to feel confident that Danny Johnson can get it done. I would go to Danny Johnson. That would be the guy that I would assume would take on those duties if it's not Benjamin St. Juice. But it's, we'll see what happens with Juice. I didn't say he can't do it. I said the jury's still out. So it doesn't mean he can't get it done. It just means I'm not confident and I'm not sure yet. I still have to deliberate. All right. But he may actually be solid for us in that nickel role. We may, 3-4 weeks from now, be saying, man, Juice, he can do that shit. He can hold it down for us. Right now, I don't necessarily feel that way yet. And I wasn't blown away by what I saw. And again, Danny Johnson in the first preseason game didn't instill that much confidence in anyone with his play. But again, I saw Danny Johnson play the nickel last year, and I liked what I saw. So I'm basing it on the fact that he did it last year. I know he can do it. Now it's just about getting him back to that, way that he was playing last season when he got the opportunity. So we will see. But in any event, that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me here on this installment of the Command Post Live. You know what it is. I'm a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, post up and take command. We will have an upload tomorrow, and then we will be live on Wednesday night for the Command Post Live. And then Friday we'll be live again. Thursday we'll have an upload. Friday we'll be live previewing the third and final preseason game against the Baltimore Ravens. We'll be live after that game. And then shortly thereafter, I will have my one and only 53-man roster prediction. So stay tuned for that. But until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. You guys take care. God bless. And as always, good night.
Louie T Network.